What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about what we thought might be the final playtest for Unreal 5 coming to Squad. But we have a note from Howitzer of Offworld discussing adjustments to their plans with 9.0. So hit the subscribe button, leave a like, drop a comment down below with your thoughts on this note. And of course, if you're looking to get in on the playtest or play Squad, you can always use my code SLAY3K30 at the link in the description below for 30% off the game. So as many of you know, in a couple of my recent videos, we've been talking about the playtest. We've been talking about Offworld switching from Unreal 5.3 to Unreal Engine 5.5. This change was to continue to improve the performance and the stability of Unreal 5 for Squad. Now, I screenshot this from the official Discord, but based on what Howitzer is saying, the 5.5 switch has introduced some new challenges that weren't appearing in some of the previous playtests. And with the feedback they've received from the community, they've decided to look to see how they can regroup and adjust plans for the 9.0 release. Howitzer goes on to say that they're actively assessing and planning the next steps for 9.0 and how that may impact the rest of the year, which I would assume means their schedule and what they had intended in future updates. And it's likely we'll get more information on all of this next week. Now, after posting my last video talking about what we thought might be the final playtest, it didn't take long to read the comments and get kind of an understanding of where the larger community may have been at. And I don't think anything in the comments was overly surprising. Many of you were concerned still about performance, some of you more so on ADS, and of course there were a lot of comments about some of the bugs people faced. Now, obviously, you should have a lot of those concerns and run into plenty of issues when something is labeled a playtest. But obviously, when you put final on something, it sort of heightens the concerns that people may have. And I think plenty of folks were worried that there may not be enough time from when the final playtest was happening to the intended launch to fix a lot of the things that some folks may have been concerned about. Many of you voiced concern that Offworld was going to push this update regardless of how much they were able to fix, potentially putting Squad in a rough position at the 9.0 release. Now, given this note by Howitzer, I think we got to give some credit to Offworld for actually taking a minute to listen to the feedback and make an adjustment to their schedule. In my last video covering what we thought was the final playtest, you guys heard my concerns too, that this may not be where it needed to be for a final playtest ahead of release. So I'm pleased that Offworld has listened to the community, is taking in some of that feedback and figuring out what adjustments they need to make to their schedule to accommodate more time for development. It's important to note that Unreal 5 has been in development for something like 2 years. There's been a series of closed playtests followed by open playtests. This is not a question about can they keep the Unreal 4 version while launching the Unreal 5 version. I've talked about that in another video. I've had comments about that. We're not going to fracture the community in two different versions of the game. There's so many people often worried about the metrics behind how big the player base is that this doesn't even make sense to add as a possible option for what Squad should do. So Unreal 5 is it. This is ultimately where the game is headed, and if we want all the things that we tend to ask for, this is where the game has to go. It's going to provide new opportunities for the devs to continue to update the game, add the stuff that you guys are asking for, with a game engine that continues to see updates and improvements. Noted by the fact that while Offworld is trying to shift Squad from 4 to 5, that they are actually moving it through versions of 5 in playtesting. That's pretty significant, and it's also significant for Offworld to continue to take more time for development. So again, if you're going to criticize Offworld for shipping updates that you don't think are quite ready for release, then you got to give them some credit for the fact that they're taking in the feedback and they're making an adjustment to the schedule, especially given how much of the team is currently tied up in trying to get Unreal 5 ready. Because we haven't really seen an update since November that I feel like changed gameplay or did anything. We haven't really seen a content drop since September of last year. So what can we expect given this message from Howitzer? I think we're going to see at least another playtest that'll hopefully give us a little bit better of an idea of what to expect for 9.0 and perhaps an improved experience. Many of you have said that you continue to see improvements to performance generally with each playtest, or at least something close to the same as what you received in the last playtest, and I think that's a good sign. While the new implementation of the picture-in-picture scopes may have not been the best performing, considering I think the playtest before that, a lot of folks enjoyed that experience a little bit more, hopefully we can continue to polish that up. If this playtest was more about getting 5.5 up to speed to where it needed to be ready for release, then I would expect us to continue to see significant improvements, given that 5.5 is supposed to offer a lot of help to lower-end machines. But I can't emphasize enough that if you aren't involved in these playtests, if you're not taking the time to submit feedback via the Discord associated with the playtest or on the form that they typically provide, you're missing out. If there's things that you're seeing, bug fixes or stuff that needs to happen, you need to be letting Offworld know. Because obviously they're taking some of this feedback into account, and I know they're listening to what the community is finding in the playtest and trying to improve the experience. But back to what to expect, I'm really interested to see how much more performance Offworld is able to squeeze out of Unreal 5. to continue to improve not only performance for high-end machines, but also low-end machines as well, because I know that is of great concern to a lot of you commenting on my videos. I'm really curious how the extra development time may affect ADSing and picture-in-picture scopes, especially from the standpoint that Norby has said that they are trying to get to a point where whether you are scoped in or not, you have the same frame rate. Or at least there's not a significant frame drop or performance issue when you are going into your scope. There's this interesting thing where you want the playtests to be done, you want the update, but you realize it's not ready, and you're kind of conflicted. I mean, of course, I want the update to be here because I feel like we've been talking about it for a while. I'm ready to sort of enjoy Unreal 5 for whatever we can get out of it, but of course, we want the performance and the experience overall to be better. Because like any significant update to a game, you're going to see former players coming back. You might even see some newer players diving in, and they're not going to have the same level of patience as current active players may have with the game, understanding a little bit more of the history and where the game is headed. I can't emphasize enough the differences that I've seen and the progression of Unreal 5 through my own eyes, having been a part of closed playtesting all the way to open playtesting. There's been significant improvement. So I have a lot of faith in the team if they're able to take their time and continue to get this to a point where we can be really excited for what 9.0 has to offer. Because I do think we're starting to see the potential of what the engine can be and how it can improve or change the experience we have in Squad. While the live Unreal 4 version of Squad may be serviceable to many, it still is going to be sort of landlocked into what it is. There's no real update coming for that engine compared to what we get with Unreal 5. If you watch the video where I covered more about what we want as a community for the game and what it requires, you'll understand that perspective, that we have to go this route. A lot of the comments that I've seen are like, this is the worst thing, this is bad, we can't do it. But in the end of the day, again, this is where we're headed. In fact, I think based on what Howitzer said, they already have plans for what comes after the 9.0 update. And that schedule seems to be affected by this push. But again, I think the push is good. I think adjusting that schedule is important. 9.0, if it releases in better condition, is not only going to be better for the player base right out of the gate, but it's also going to hopefully boost up the population a little bit and get people maybe back into Squad. So to some extent, in closing, I think this is good. We've seen about 5, I think, open play tests. We've seen some progression there. And of course, switching from 5.3 to 5.5 has obviously offered some challenges, which is maybe why we saw a little bit of a regression with this playtest. At least that's based on some of the feedback that you have provided. Now, without rambling on much further, I think this is a good thing. I know some people may be disappointed and some people may be really stoked that they're taking more time. So in the comments down below, let me know what side of the fence are you on. Are you bummed and ready for UE5 to be here? Or are you happy that they're taking more time to develop? And of course, I'll try to update you on any more news coming from Offworld about 9.0. So hit the subscribe button and leave a like, and I'll catch you next time.
Toads observed.